morning all, or late evening to some people, I'm imagining. Thank you for joining on another day of wacky, wild website development. Yeah, if any of you didn't watch last time, I started working on my girlfriend's weird website. I'm gonna take this out because I'm sounding weird. Yeah, normally I just sort of fuck around with my own website and my React library. I'm actually gonna close that curtain behind me. It's messing with my camera. I think the sun finally decided to come out as soon as I started streaming. Yeah, so normally I work on my own website and my own library, this thing, LocalBoast.com. And last time I decided to mix it up because my girlfriend, Rosie, has finished, well, okay, not finished. She has put together a few wireframes for how she wants her website to look. So quickly running through these. Yeah, basically her website is not going to look and feel like a normal website. That's, stacked columns that you scroll down with, how websites behave. Don't want to mansplain how websites should look. Basically, it's going to feel more like a web app, like a full page immersive, I'm going to strike that from the record. Full page web app, similar enough to like maybe kind of like how a game, like a video game engine would handle things. So like scale the UI accordingly, and keep everything centered on the page nicely with some overlapping stuff. So we started playing around with this the last day. So where did I actually get to? Should have had this running previously. Yarn dev. Yes, this is where we got to the last day. So you can see what I mean about the things on the page not being scrollable, how it's all like responsive. And so like when I resize this, the like elements go where they should go. Oh, that guy shouldn't be floating up there in space. Yeah, we'll try to make that work a bit better. But yeah, this is what I mean by a weird website, where like the navigation is going to be through these like floating, absolutely positioned elements, very illustrative, and a lot of quirky user interactions, such as this logo that when I hover over it, it does that. So that's what actually the last thing I was playing around with the last day. After getting all this stuff in place, I started playing around with this like rotational haptic thing. So that I moved it over, like basically got a proof of concept here in just the browser, hacking it, hard coding it to have 3D rotation. And I figured it's a good time to move that over into my library. The song is horrible. Just in the background of what I'm saying, it's just like absolute noise. Okay, way more chill. Yeah, so having this sort of rotational haptic thing, I decided it'd be good to move that into my library, because in the LocalBoast library, I've already got a haptic component and hook that handles resizing. Like when you hover over things, that it like pops bigger, and when you click it, it bounces, that kind of stuff. So I figured I'll move that logic into the library so that, oh, does it not happen on this? I'm pretty sure I got it working on use haptic hook. Where are we? Yeah, so like when I hover over this guy, he does a little rotate, and when I click him, he does a full spin. And that spin is happening way too quick, but still, screw it. Why was that not working? Okay, so it's working on the use haptic. Yeah. Cool, so that's the first thing we're gonna do, is see if this new addition to the library works in here for our use case here. And I need to also figure out how to get whatever weird responsiveness was happening there that made the logo panel disconnect from this section. And we're just going to continue that. We've got a little goal in place today. Where are we? There we go. We've got a follower goal, 35 people. Feels insurmountable, or I would have thought that until the last day. I think I started streaming on 21 followers with a goal of getting to 25. and we smashed that record almost instantly because I got rated. And then I set the goal for 30. And again, we hit that, ended the stream, and then just another follower came in just after I ended stream. So yeah, all in all, the last stream I got 10 new followers, which is absolutely wild. More than twice my previous record. So we're keeping it modest this time. I think 3 or 4 is usually where I hit on a decent length stream. So we're going to aim for 35 today. And that'll see me nicely to having 4 more streams, which is what I need to get to affiliate status. And then once I reach 50 followers after hopefully 4 streams, bang, I can start showing you ads. Yeah, so we got that going, looming over us to hopefully get to 35. So without any further ado, I'm going to switch over to my headphones because I'm just not used to using the earbuds. I thought it'd be a lot more casual because basically those earbuds I have in my ears 24/7, basically. Gotta get these connected. Yeah, so I thought it would be a lot more easygoing, a lot more free if I just have the wireless solution in place, but it made everything way worse. Okay, just switching over to my headset. I think we're good. Cool. Back into the flow of things. So let's just start on this. Yeah, before integrating the library, I want to figure out why this is disconnected. So I think I went about it a pretty, I guess, naive way. Although maybe it's not even naive. I think I used Flex. So I have this center post. I had that had a really hard time centering that in the page basically. And then when it came to having a disconnected logo sign attached to it, I simply replaced this thing on the page, this little image, with a Flexbox div that was stacked vertically. And then I just had the two things there together. And then I think I positioned them at it wasn't even Flex, it was CSS grid. So I gave it like 1F4, 3F4 to hopefully keep them together. And it was working until this responsiveness piece. So let's just try to find where did I build any of this. Homepage on Enchantress.com. So yeah, here we go. So the whole thing is just a bunch of divs and images, and the funky logic is handled through CSS. So there's not a lot of weird React stuff going on just yet, other than the use of some hooks that will roll in pretty soon. But yeah, for now, it's just a div wrapping the whole signpost, which is just 2 images. So let's see what the CSS is doing for that. And it was the signpost class. So that container is absolutely positioned. And all the images inside are display flex. And that parent is a grid with 1F4, 4F4. Okay, so let's inspect the source and see what is actually happening to these elements. Go away, console. Okay. So the logo is obeying, like the logo sign is where it should be, being like 1/5 of the container height. This guy is kind of doing that. No, actually, no, he's not. I don't know. Should I just have object fit? Or what is it? Object position? Object position top? Does that fix everything? I might need to shift the overall positioning on the page, but that might just fix what's going on. Because that was a thing we encountered the last day, this idea of object position. Because what's happening with a lot of these is we're trying to scale the image tags inside of divs and have them either distort or not distort. So for instance, these arrows, I have them distorting currently because it might be useful, but it might just look horrible depending on how it looks when we actually roll in the proper assets, because these are all just wireframe images. But yeah, so the reason I let them distort is because it kind of gives the impression of them rotating. So, you know, when it goes real narrow, the arrows are basically pointing up, but then when it goes real wide, the arrows are pointing more to the sides, which will hopefully, which will match up with if we scale the background image. That's kind of where I'm going with this. But every other image, such as these leaves and the signpost, we don't want it to scale like that. Ooh. Okay, see what's happening here is the signpost is scaling correctly, but the logo image isn't, because it is beholden to its own width, not the signpost width. I think I might have even stuck in a needless little bit of CSS to make that happen though. Width unset. Yeah. Maybe that would fix it. No. Damn. If I make it width. Yeah, I don't know. Might have to revisit that in a minute if I get some inspiration. So yeah, object position is at least keeping it from disconnecting. So let's see what a good way of doing that would be. So let's see, if I say image first, what are the rules? Nth child 1 to target the first one. I think it's indexed by 1, but I'm never certain of that. Object position bottom. And then to target the second image, object position being top. Let's see, is that working how I want it to? So that should be making the logo give that object position bottom. Yep. Just in case that ever does end up scaling, that hopefully the two of them will scale in such a way that they stay connected. Yeah, so that's one thing anyway. That's one thing we've achieved. So the signpost, can I make it like height fit content? Would that work? No. What if I do like max height fit content? Just, yeah. I'm doing funky stuff here because like the image tag is bigger than the image that's actually there. You know, like you can see the image tags bounds are like twice the height of the actual image. So yeah, because this image tag isn't resizing with the image, neither will the parent. Oh well, I tried. It's really warm right now. It's like where I'm living in London, it's always like a bit warmer than I'm used to. Having moved from Ireland, which I thought would be about the same temperature as London. London is like considerably warmer. Like maybe like 5-10 degrees. I don't know. That's probably a bit crazy. Let's say 5 degrees warmer Celsius. But then we're now living in an apartment building on like one of the upper floors. And my experience with those is you never put the heating on and it's always 25 degrees Celsius. It's always way too hot in here. And like we've got the vents on, we've got the windows open. I think it's only like 10 degrees outside, yet somehow it's 25 degrees in here. We've complained to the building. Yeah, so I'm gonna be a bit risque and take my shorts off. Nobody look. It doesn't help that I've got my PC running to encode all this and stream it. Got a laptop going here. Got big lights beaming on me. And this heavy ass shirt. I'm not taking that off. You will not convince me of that. Okay, another tangent. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm getting older or something. Something's happening to my throat. It's where like every couple days I go to take a sip of something and I choke. It goes down the wrong way. Something at the back of my throat is like has given way over the last few years. So it's yeah. Let's see how many more times that happens on stream. If maybe we'll get a counter going. For the time being, I'll count it manually. Chokes. 1. Can you even see that well? Yeah. Yeah. I swear it's only happened in like the last month that it's becoming like every few days. Maybe it's a little known symptom of long COVID or something. Spontaneous choking. I'm gonna try not to choke deliberately because of that. As much as I want that tally to be like 15 by the end of stream, it's pretty unlikely. All right. Okay, so let's think about what we're doing here. We want this guy to scale. We want it to basically scale the way it is scaling. I'm not talking about the logo, getting that to scale right now. We'll try to get that to work as well. But it's scaling the way we want it to. However, we want the entire container to scale as well, so that we can center it. For instance, if this guy is instead 40%. Oh, so he is centering. Okay. Yeah, because he's got margin auto here. So he would be centering if he were to scale down. 80%. So if I say max height, 80%, why does it do that? This is absolutely positioned. Does it need to be? Are there any other values I can give it that make it do what I want? No, don't think so. So why the hell is it completely filling the viewport height? Because this guy is completely filling the viewport height. Okay. Height, 80%. I think maybe having the grid here is just more harm than good. Flex direction. Why do flex children by default get big old padding? Oh no, they're margin auto. Wonder why that was margin top auto. But either way. So this is getting height 80%, and its content isn't filling that. And yet it's not centering the content. So because I've just made it flex, I should have it be justify content center. Okay, now its content is centering, even if the content isn't filling size. God, I'm really breaking this. Responsive designs are hard, guys. So if I say height, instead of the whole like grid 1F4, 4F4 stuff, if I simply give it like height 20%, height 80%. Does that? Okay, so it stops it going too big. That's good. It's still scaling up like that, which is weird. Max height 80%. Okay. So it's going to be real hard to get this to scale relative to this. So is my problem treating these two things scaling as independent things? As in like trying to get the logo to scale down and the post to scale down in sync. I think I should just have like a fixed, like them be positioned fixed relative to the parent, and the parent is the thing that scales. I think that would probably make sense. Right? Okay, so if this is always height 80%, and this is always height 20%, yeah, I'm just gonna persist some of this because I'm afraid of losing all of this. So let's see, height 20. Oh my god, this music is just not fitting the vibe whatsoever. Way more chill. Come on, give me something good. Sure. Oh shit, I hit save. Yeah, hitting save wipes out my local changes. Or at least replaces some of them. So what else was I doing? I made this not be a grid. I made this display flex. Flex direction column. And justify content center. Yeah, I don't know why I had like margin width. I feel like I can get rid of those for now. Margin 0. Sure, I'll stick with margin. No, yeah, we'll leave margins out of the equation. So this is where we're at. Okay. Okay, so when I scale it vertically, it's doing what I want. Where it's scaling the whole thing's scaling down and it's staying centered. But when I scale it horizontally, it's not scaling uniformly because the image inside is the only thing that's actually being cut off. So what I need is to have this image tag have the same width as this image tag, because then they'll scale down together, I guess. Unless, do you know what I could do? Could I say that this logo, give it a max width that's a fixed percentage of the parent, so that once, so that it never goes bigger than that percentage? Let's try that. Max width. What do we go? 20%? Oh no. Margin auto. Okay, good. So if I have it max width, now it's actually scaling down. Cool. I just need to get that percentage to line up with the actual signpost dimensions. So, okay, so that's the point that they start scaling. Sweet. So now they're scaling together. That is like a real hard-coded value that is dependent on the size of the images. So when I swap these out for the real images, I will need to tweak this value. But that seems to be working nicely for this at least. So I'm going to persist that. So now it's scaling down that direction nicely, scaling down that direction nicely. The only thing I need is to figure out why it's scaling up like that. Okay, so the container is staying centered. It's this guy's height is staying at 80% of the parent. If I switch this to max height. Nope. Yeah. We're still hitting that situation where the image tag is way bigger than the actual image content. Wonder, could this tag scale? Or like stretch? We might be able to get away with that. If I have this one fill. Let's just see how this looks. So we'll make the logo contain and the post fill. Oh. SAS does not like semicolons. Aha, I need to give him margin auto as well. Margin 0 auto. Okay. Okay, so it's stretching, and because the point that they meet is not directly centered, stretching does not look good. Yeah, okay. I'm abandoning that. That didn't work. I still want that rule in there, so I'll get rid of that. Move you back up. This should be simple. I'm missing something. So again, I think I might be getting screwed over by the fact that I'm saying like that this image should be 20% of the parent and this one should be 80% of the parent. But then the parent's height is being determined by the child's height, which is misreporting its height. I don't know. The music's grown me up. Maybe more intense music. Well, that sort me out. This is perfect for figuring out some CSS issues. Right. So rubber ducking this. What is going wrong here? We've got this parent container. We just want to center its children. However, its children are positioned so as to keep their proportions within the container. The children have been given 20% height and 80% height of the overall parent, and the parent has been given 80% of the viewport height. So that's why the parent is occupying this entire space, and the children are occupying 20% of that and 80% of that. And so because that is a fixed dividing line on the page, being like 20% down through 80%, basically, yeah, this dividing line here under the logo. And that dividing line is not moving. It's a bit too intense. And so I need this container image to be able to move around the page. But it doesn't even know that it's off-center because its child images are not resizing when they scale down. If I give it height auto. Height auto. Max height 80%. Aha. Fucking A, yes. Okay. So there we go. So I'll give them both height auto. And then here where I'm specifying the fixed proportions, it'll be max height 20% and max height 80%. Okay, so the two parts are scaling down proportionally and are centered when going narrow, and when going short, they're scaling down together and staying centered. Fuck yes. Just gonna give myself a little celebration. Yeah! Now back to music. Sweet. Okay, so that was first thing we wanted to get done today. Get him to respond a bit better. Next thing, replace this janky implementation of rotation logic with the new thing I've added to use haptic. And the haptic component altogether. First thing I should probably fix though is figuring out why the haptic demo is not working. So what I was saying there is in the LocalBoast library, what I did the last day was I moved this idea of like hovering over something and it causing a little rotation effect, which is something that was specified in the spec here in the wireframe, spins on hover and on tap. I figured that's a perfect use case to have it in the library. So in the library, I've already got a component called haptic and a hook called use haptic. That, you know, when you hover over something, it scales up a bit to show that it's interactable. And then when you click it, it does like a little popping. And that's something that I use already in a bunch of places on my website. So localboast.com. Wow, that's taken a long time to load. Yeah. Oh, this is all really zoomed in. But yeah, these icons all use the haptic component to give that sense of being able to scale up and down. And even this little guy that's zooming in, he's using the use haptic hook that allows you to detect when it's hovering and when it's been clicked and all that stuff. To just make the animations a bit nicer. So I took this idea of hovering causing a rotation effect and I moved that into the haptic and use haptic stuff from the library to allow that to be an option. So, and I got it working with the use haptic. So we can see, yeah, when it's toggled to spin mode, instead of doing a scaling effect, it causes a little rotation effect. And if I make the time, where's the time? Click milliseconds. So I switch this, move this up. So now when I click, you can see on hover, it does like a little totter rotation. And when I click it, it does a full spin, which I think is just really, really fun, especially on this big guy. But he doesn't go on click. That's his whole point. But yeah, I think that's just a really nice thing to have in the library. Unlockable really easily. And the best part is I made it support 3D rotation, which is what I need over here, because as you can see, it's not spinning you know, like a 2D asset does, it spins in a 3D space. And I also want it to be like, have a bit of depth to the spin. As you can see, it's kind of like, ooh, it's going kind of wonky. In a good way. Normally I'd say wonky in a bad way. But... oh, my camera doesn't think my kombucha exists. Right. So before porting the new stuff into the website here, I'm just going to try to figure out why the haptic demo isn't working. So you can see over here in haptic, if I turn on spin mode, it's still not spinning. And I just need to make sure that it does work on the haptic component, because that's probably what I'm going to use here. So am I simply not passing that in? Yeah, I think I'm simply not doing that. Yeah, so what's going on here is there's the haptic component takes all the stuff that gets passed on to the use haptic hook. So all these values like the scale multipliers and the milliseconds per animation, all that stuff, as like optional arguments, and passes them through. And there's probably a much better way of doing this. I used to have it that it would just pass all the props through. And so if I added new values to the use haptic hook, it would just automatically be supported. But then I switched it that like all the attributes that get passed through have to be explicitly named like this. So it's like extracting it from the props and then passing it through as named values. And I think I did that because I kept getting errors in the console about unwanted values being passed to hooks or something. There was some stuff going on about like, oh shit, I didn't need that value to be passed through like that. And so to overcome that issue, I just started extracting the individual named attributes. And so that is why I am now missing that functionality in the haptic component. So I just need to find what attributes I have added to use haptic and make sure that they are explicitly named here. Yeah, here they are. I am needed. 1 second, I am going to mute myself. And I'm back. Apologies for that. So where was I? Yeah, grabbing these attributes and just make sure that they are included over here in what we're passing through to the hook. So basically, I had to add in not only just a new type attribute to allow, you know, do we want it to be like a pop animation or a rotation animation, but I had to add in new customization options. So yeah, those 4 things are now also going to the hook. And so hopefully this demo should start working, and it does. Sweet. Cool. So that's done. I'm gonna build the library now. And we should be able to start using that haptic component over here on the website. So import haptic from LocalBoast. Components, haptic. So we want that on the signpost image? No, the logo sign image. I feel like every time I shuffle my happy music, this one song from Metal Gear Solid plays. It's a pretty good song, but doesn't deserve this much attention. What am I doing? There we go. Okay, so it's haptic And so using all the default attributes, if I leave it as is, oh, okay. Thankfully, I think I made the haptic. So what's happening here is the haptic component by default adds an extra div to the page, and that is breaking the layout. But I think I made haptic polymorphic. I hope I did. Component, yes, I did. Let's see if that works. Component equals image. Oh my god. And then I should be able to pass these image props. That's it. I think that's why I had to do the thing of like manually extracting these values. It's because I needed a way of differentiating what props given to the haptic component belong to the use haptic hook and what props were just like arbitrary values being passed through to the component through the polymorphic interface. Because basically I found this funky way of making components polymorphic through TypeScript, whereby you can, do this thing, make, say, haptic component equals image. And now not only are we specifying that when haptic renders, that it should render an image tag, it also makes the TypeScript aware that any prop passed in here might be a prop of the image component. So for instance, if I start typing source isn't defined on the haptic component, but because we've said that the component is an image, it knows to include the image's source prop and all the other image props. And so for that reason, that's why I had to manually extract these things. Because if I didn't manually extract them and like differentiate them, so like other props, basically, these are the ones that actually get passed to the polymorphic component. And if I didn't manually extract them, that's where the errors were coming, was that I was, passing these things related to the use haptic hook. I was passing them on to the polymorphic component. And I was just getting a bunch of errors in the console about like, div does not expect blur milliseconds attribute. So maybe there's just a nice way of suppressing those errors or a better way to exclude them. But yeah, so that's why I remember now why I had to do this ugliness. But yeah, there we are. So hopefully this just works. Okay. Yes, it does. Awesome. So without adding any new tags to the page, I've now just got an image on the page that has this haptic behavior to it. But we don't want it to be popping like that. We want it to rotate. So I'm going to switch the haptic type to be spin. Okay. So now when I hover over it, it does a little totter. And on click, it does a full rotation. But again, we don't want it to rotate in that space. We want it to rotate in that space. Oh my god, I'm doing a really bad job there. In that space. And so, how was I doing that through CSS? Oh shit, yeah, I also didn't get rid of this guy. So this was the vector I was using before. Let's say rotation vector. And I think this is an array of numbers. So there we go. That's my vector. Just to restore to the functionality I had before. Okay, so now you can see it's doing some 3D rotation. Ooh. Okay. Doing a little totter on hover and on click a full spin. The spin is way too fast though. So click milliseconds, gonna make that 300. It's pretty good. I think it might still be a bit fast. 400. That's good. That's cool. So there's a slight thing bothering me that I think is just an issue with the use haptic logic in general that I kind of hacked together to make it support rotation is that you can see, so it's at like a, I don't know, like a 20-degree rotation there. And when I click, it does a full spin, goes to 0, and then has to go to 25. So it's like, it's a bit jank. It really isn't bothering me now. I might change it down the line, but I think that's real cool to have that 3D rotation going on there. Tasty, crunchy. So one thing I couldn't really get my head around was what was actually happening with the vector. I kind of hacked these values together. So that's we're defining a vector for rotation of 10 up and 2 back, I think. So, or it might even be forward. How does it look if I switch this away from a negative? Ooh, that's actually inverting the direction of the rotation. That's weird. Huh. Yeah, I think I prefer it the other way. Yeah, that just looks cool. I don't know. I could be crazy, but I think it's neat seeing something like that. 3D rotation on a website is just something you don't see very often. That I don't anyway. It feels very much like, oh shit, is there a game engine running this? Not to toot my own horn too much. Right, so I think I might be done with this signpost for now. Obviously these actual sign bits. Oh. There's a choke. I'm gonna add that to the tally. For anyone who wasn't here earlier, I mentioned that since hitting the age of 29, I just find myself choking on drinks. Just like if I take a sip of coffee, there's a good chance I'm just gonna gag, that like it'll go down the wrong way. And so I just start seeing how many times that happens in a stream. So we're on 2. Yeah, so what I was saying was this guy here, these signposts, these will be buttons. We'll probably wouldn't make sense for them to scale on hover, but maybe we'll add a new haptic relating to like glow. Might be nice if they got sort of like an outline glow. And basically everything here is also going to be haptic. So like these arrows, they'll probably like hover up and maybe also glow. The bugs, I think what we want to do is that when they hover, maybe they'll glow, but also maybe do like a little sprite animation, so like their legs move. That kind of is dependent on whether or not Rosie puts in the effort to like make a sprite sheet for them, but that could be fun. I just realized I don't have my chat window open. I'll leave the follower goal on there. And my chat window, yeah, I've been watching chat anyway, so I'm pretty sure no messages have come in, but just good to know that it's there. I probably, yeah, deciding whether or not I need the description banner on there. Nah, screw it. If you're wondering what the sounds of like a demon in the background are, I am currently playing Tug of War with my dog because she has decided to, she woke up and chose evil today. So yeah, I'm not interfering with myself if you think that I'm doing something weird with my left hand. Okay, so there's not too much left to do on this page until we get some more interactions to work with and like more assets to, like the finalized assets. Because I think for the most part, we just wanted the overall image to work nicely. I guess I could play around with the trees and stuff in the background. Yeah, so I guess, so there's the post box to do now. That's the first bit I'm gonna do. Then we're gonna play with the trees in the background, because that's just gonna be like one static background image. But we'd need to make sure that lines up with, say, the arrows and the signpost, because more than anything, what we're doing now is getting the position of stuff working right. And getting these things to seamlessly, I'm just going to close this because I keep clicking it by accident. Getting these things to not just be floating randomly in space, but to feel like they're actually part of this world is going to be pretty important, because I've just kind of been randomly choosing where on the page this stuff should go. So having that background image in there will heavily dictate how responsive things are. There's also some nice little things that I think could be fun. Say, we've already kind of got this illusion of depth with, say, like the leaves being able to overlap the arrows. It doesn't happen much here, but like if I scale it down, yeah, so just the way I've got the stacking working, the arrows, or the leaves here do overlap the arrows. And so what I think could be fun, could be real fun. I'm saying that sarcastically as if it's not fun, but I genuinely find this shit really interesting. Some sort of mouse follow behavior, whereby like as you pan across the page, it's almost as if like you're looking around in a world, and you know, when you move your head through a world, your perspective on things changes. You know, depth increases, things shift around, you know, things in the foreground move quicker than things in the background. And so what I think could be cool is that as you move across the page, say these leaves in the foreground kind of shift side to side, and that maybe that also happens with the arrows and this thing, but that they would happen less significantly, giving the real illusion that there is depth to these leaves and that these are in front of the stuff. I think that'll just be a fun thing to play around with. And that idea of like a mouse follow mechanic functionality is something I wanted to add into the LocalBoast library, and using it to add some sort of like fake depth illusion. That could also just be a thing to slot into the library really nicely. So we'll get around to that. For now, I just want to work on this little post box, because for the most part, it's just going to be an asset with a button, but it's got a little mail flap. What would you call that? A mail flap. And that we can also use our rotation, our use haptic thingy, because we're going to want some 3D rotation on that. And that will require figuring out the proper vector that aligns with the image. So that'll be cool. Right, so what I did the last day with this, oh shit, I only just realized there's also this privacy hole. Yeah. So the tree, this main tree will probably have to be its own asset as well, because we want that privacy hole to not just be a part of the background. That's also like a fixed part of the page. Okay, so we'll work on postbox, then the privacy hole tree, and then the background, and try to get it to all fit nicely together. That's a plan. Let's go with it. Right, so yeah, what I was doing the last day was I just grabbed this thing, and similar to the last day, the dog is crying. I explained this the last day that she doesn't know how to ask for things. She just goes somewhere nearby and cries. We've taken her out once or twice today. We played with her, fed her, given her the necessities. I'm just saying I'm not neglecting her. But yeah, she doesn't know how to ask for things. So if she wants to go out, she won't go to the door and tap. She'll just be near you and cry. So right now she's looking out the window at the ducks outside, crying. And I'm going to try to ask Rosie if she can take the dog out. Enjoy this musical interlude while I text. So I've had to be a bit mean and just close the blinds so she cannot see outside. She's not crying now anyway. Yeah, she's just a very needy dog, and it doesn't really line up with a desire to be a streamer. And so one of those two is going to give. Either I'm going to give up and let the dog dictate my life, or hope that Rosie can do that. Yeah. So yeah, what I was doing was I just taking this image and just cropping these little bits. Being a real graphic designer here. Trying to avoid as much of the outline as possible, like a real graphic designer would. There we go. Beautiful. And now I've got postbox asset. Oh, I need the flap to be a separate thing, don't I? So that's just going to be a square. What would be the best way to do that? Could have it... Probably makes sense for that to be just like a square, like a rectangle, a flat rectangle that we then rotate into place. I have no idea how that will work with the haptic hook though. Because if it's already rotated and we rotate it, we'll get there. We'll see. So what'll I do now? I'm just gonna rub this out. Or will I? Yeah, screw it. I'll grab this guy. Keep the art style consistent. Make a new bit for this. And rotate him. Oh my god, what is happening? Okay. Why did it get a background when I did that? Oh my god. Why does Krita do this? Why is there a background to this? I really don't understand Krita sometimes. Why is it that there's... Hey, Rosie, could you help me with a Krita thing? Just like... Okay. Why is it that when the only layer in this is a transparent image, that when I move the image, there becomes no transparency? It's as if... Is the image fixed as having a solid background? Do you get what I'm saying? Is that like... Yeah, Photoshop wouldn't do this shit. Okay. Yeah. It is free software. Can't ask for too much. Could ask for it to work, but oh well. Thank you. It does. It's just annoying. Yeah. Yeah. And like this is just extra annoying, where simply using the resize tool on it, can you see the screen there? Simply using the resize tool on it gives it a solid background. No, it doesn't. Does not make sense. So yeah, so empty layer here, that's just literally nothing. And then this guy, which is an asset with empty background. So I use this resize tool, because this free transform tool, because I want to rotate it. As soon as I select it, it gets a solid background. Nope.
Okay, but it's still moving on its own, so...
Let's see if I paint on the background.
What are you doing?
No, I just painted the background purple.
It's like just selecting that area.
Oh wait, layer is invisible. Shit. this layer. I don't understand Krita at
I
all.
don't think you can do anything to the background layers. Like you can change the color.
So is the problem that I'm importing the image as the background layer? Should I be...
Oh yeah, bring it in afterwards. So like...
See, what I had done was I had cropped a bit here, copied it, went new, and said new from clipboard. So like it is automatically having the background be my selection. Should I just not do that? Should I just always manually create one and then manually copy in the individual layer?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I do.
Okay, that's real shitty.
Yeah, it's like there's some books in it. It does do some cool stuff, but it's also like,
Yeah, free software. Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah, it's not getting the background now anyway. That's good. Okay, so I need to distort this somehow. Oh my god. I wish that, like, see, it's keeping its rotation. I hate that. I want to be able to, like, apply that transformation. I feel like Photoshop wouldn't do this. I don't know. How the fuck do you distort in Krita? Krita distort. This is all for the sake of getting a fucking rectangle asset. Okay, so there's a tool options in here. Shear. That's what I want, right? Okay. That looks pretty good. That's pretty much what I want. Yeah, fuck it. I'm just gonna go with that. It's not great. But like very much placeholder assets. It's fine. And I'm gonna crop to this selection. Trim to selection. Okay. Mailbox. Sorry, bear with me. Just texting. One sec. Right. Mailbox flap dot png. So now over here, if I just, it's that one time that I don't want Krita to remove it without background. I feel like normally if I backspace in Krita, it would replace it with white. Screw it, I'll just paint over it in white. Someday I'll figure out how to use Krita. Oh my god. Why? Oh, I've got the erase tool selected. Normal. There we go. And can you imagine if like a graphic designer gave a web developer some assets and then they went in to like some shitty free software and like redesigned it? They'd be so mad. Like manually redrew the lines. Beautiful. Oh my god. There's a thing you can do in Photoshop that I do not know if there's a way to do it in Krita, where I'm pretty sure in Photoshop you can like click in one place and then shift click to another and it'll draw a straight line between them. I don't think it exists in Krita. I've tried to find it before. Shift click straight line. shift for painting straight lines while drawing. Hold shift to draw a straight line. Simplest way, choose the Photoshop compatible profile. Hold the V key. What? Okay. So holding the V key temporarily switches you to the line tool. Gotcha. Yeah, that's fine. If I fill this in black. Beautiful. And then we'll cover that up with the mailbox flap, which is white. Lovely. So mailbox. Hung. Is that done? Okay. So start using these things. So mailbox image, mailbox flap image, mailbox, mailbox flap. So how do we want this to stack? Should probably be behind this post, signpost. So I'll stick that over here. Div class name. Oh my god. Typoing because I think my position. I'm off center. But I get this. Style. Oh my god. Styles dot mailbox. Control. I guess it is presentational because there will be buttons inside it, but role is presentation for the actual mailbox image piece. Source being mailbox image. Yeah, I'll probably need custom class names for these, but for now, let's just go with this. Mailbox flap image. Main post and signpost image. Do I actually need class names for that? Am I using them? Main post, signpost image. Oh, main post and logo sign. Yeah, so he can just go up here. Just seeing if there's any need for those custom class names, or can I just use nth child? I think I can just use nth child, so I'll get rid of those. Cool. So what do we got over here? Beautiful. Where's the actual flap, though? Because that should be on the page somewhere. Is that here? Yeah, going behind the signpost. Cool. So over here, we'll just keep the stacking consistent. So mailbox position absolute. I'm just gonna steal all this. So that'll be having it centered. But we want to offset it a bit so that it's down here. So we just go like, I don't know, 60% top. 40%? Let's try that. What does that look like? Okay. Weird. It's not where I would have expected it to be, given that I put it at top 40%. So there's the mailbox. The top being 40%. Is it just ignoring that? Oh, it's in setting itself. Because this guy. It's like, yeah, I don't think we need that. Yeah, that's probably a much easier way of positioning it. So, because we really want this mailbox to basically be positioned relative to the signpost. Might even be worth having it be like a child of the signpost tag. But we'll see how this works, how nicely this goes. Yeah, let's just try to get the scaling working right. Because the positioning isn't too bad, as long as we can get it to scale correctly. And we want to make sure that that flap is positioned correctly. Because that is by far the thing I care about the most. Image, nth tag, nth child. 2. Position. Relative. No, what am I doing? Position absolute. What would be a handy way of positioning this? I'd say left 50%, top 25. Let's try that. Left 50%, top 25%. Pretty close. Pretty close. So it's pretty much isomorphic. Isographic? I never know. So what would be the rotation vector we want? Well, that's going to be funky. That's going to be really difficult to work out, actually. Isn't it? Because we want it to be rotated. Let's just do this in the console. I'm gonna make signpost pointer events none because he keeps blocking all of my interactions. Pointer events none. And I'll make the first child pointer events all. Okay, he's already got that. Right, there we go. So how do we rotate this? Transform, rotate, 3D. So I want it to be, yeah, so the vertical vector, rotate by, oh my god, autocomplete fucked me over. Transform, rotate, 3D, 0, 1, 0, rotate by 45 degrees. Yep, so it looks like it's just gotten smaller, but that's because it's rotating that way. And I also want it to rotate along the depth. No, that way. Okay. That's pretty good. What does spinning this way do? Nothing? Anything? So what does that do? That's like a roll, right? So what might be the best way to handle this? Yeah, maybe I should put a wrapper around this. Yeah. Just so that we're not having two rotations interacting. Like I'll get this image in place and then put a wrapper tag around it that does the rotation. Yeah, let's try that. So we want it to have that rotation, and I'll make it scale a bit. 1.5. Okay, so that's kind of messed with our rotation a bit. 1.5. Yeah, just trying to figure out vector shit is a bit funky. Is the scale looking right? I think the rotation is pretty much bang on. Just gonna up the scale slightly and shift it over just a smidge. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with that. Left 51, top 28. Where was that? 51. Top 28. These are all, again, temporary numbers because we need to get it to work correctly when it has proper assets. These are all like determined by these temporary images we're using. Okay. That's broken because SAS doesn't like semicolons. Okay, so now I need to put a wrapper around that. Although I guess the wrapper could just be the haptic component, because the haptic component adds a div anyway. So let's try that. Haptic type being spin, rotation vector. So we're going to want it to basically be the same rotation vector that was here, I think. So let's try that. What do we want to say? Click rotation. If we make it be like, because we don't want it to do like a full 360 or nothing. We want it to be like a, goes up and want to just go a little bit up when you hover, and then maybe like flap open fully. I'd say click rotation be like 170, and focus rotation be 40. Yeah, okay, so we need to add some attributes onto that haptic to make it be positioned correctly, because this is not where we want it to be. So I think with haptic, does it just take a style prop? Other props dot style. Yes, it does. Actually, it'll probably take a class name, won't it? Just other merged props. Yeah. Say class name. It doesn't like that, does it? Styles dot. It will be fine with that because by default it's div, right? Default value is div, so it should take any div props, I think. Classes dot flap wrap. I'm great. That's a fun name. Flap wrap, position, absolute. Yeah, if I just move these things in here. Shit. That should be, yeah, these things. So now that positioning and stuff is being applied to this guy. Okay. Kind of works. This image should still have rotation applied, but it doesn't. Image nth child. Right. Because that's under flap wrap now, so it's not the nth child too. So flap wrap image. There we go. Okay, so it's still getting its thing. The rotation vector is completely wrong. Okay, so it's doing what it's supposed to do in terms of like hover getting rotation and click getting a rotation. It's just happening on completely the wrong vector. So, am I still getting fucked by there being multiple rotations here in play? I think I am. I think having the wrapping rotation doesn't help anything. Okay. So I need... Yeah. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. It's going to be wild. Bear with me here. So I'm going to move this down. Haptic. Component. Image. And I'm just going to have a div wrapping it. The rotation vector is going to be the horizontal vector. So the funky rotation is going to be applied at a higher level. And then the actual haptic rotation is simply going to be just a really simple rotation, flapping up. So I think my CSS is going to be wrong here. Let's see, how does this look? So I've got flap wrap. And there should be an image inside of that. Yeah, so this image, we don't want that to be rotated. We want that to be on flap wrap. Get rid of that. Ooh, it almost kind of works. I think it might be rotating the wrong way. So if I reverse the rotation vector, so I'm going to play around with it in the console, but I'm just thinking that I think it must be rotating based on its center. Transform CSS transform origin. Transform origin. Because I need it to pivot not on the center, but at the top. Why is it? It says rotate me. I can't actually interact with this, can I? But yeah, let's see. So here, transform origin top. Will it allow that? Is that actually applied? Where? There's flat prop. Okay. Transform origin being top. Oh shit, that should be on the image, shouldn't it? Yeah. Image. Okay. So it's rotating on the at the top. Okay, so I think we still need to get the correct vector going. I'm gonna zoom in. So if anyone's watching, it looks a bit better. So what is happening with this rotation? It could just be that I'm learning now that my top level vector is completely broken. Because I feel like it should be pretty straightforward that it's rotating up. So if we just scale this to go up. Huh. Interesting. It's because there's no angle to its own rotation. So it's as if it's not actually moving through a 3D space. So I think they're kind of like cheating it when they get this rotate 3D happening. That it's just a question of like how they scale it and how they distort it. And because it's only scaling itself on the x-axis, it's only rotating itself on the x-axis. It's not actually moving it through a 3D space. It's just scaling it up and down. So it's not giving me the effect I want, which is really disappointing because I think that means I need to abandon this strategy. Right? Yeah. Okay, so if this guy, I'm trying to figure this out. Because if we rotate this in 3D, what happens? The hell? Oh, for fuck's sake. It's not able to realize that this is a number that can go up and down. Okay. 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. So is this vector just completely wrong? It is, isn't it? Because the vector will have to be, I don't know, 2 minus 2. Because it's basically isomorphically up to the right and back at equal proportions. So it should be equal like this. 7, 8. I don't understand this vector at all. 2. You see, I want to be rotating it along this way. if I get rid of any weird transformation on this guy and this guy, so now it's just a square image. I'm gonna get rid of the scaling as well, because that's fucking up the parsing, I think. It's making it harder to interact with. Yeah, so now I can treat it like a number. So we can see the vector it's rotating on, and it's just completely wrong. Why is that? I'm trying to understand where... Yeah, this would be so much easier in a game engine because I could just dive into the world and inspect. So we want it to be mostly along the Y axis. So I'm just going to set that to like some massive 40. Fuck it. Okay. It's also, I feel, a lot to the right. Oh, that's really high. Okay. It's looking better. Okay, so that made it considerably worse. So if I dial back that rotation, almost right, except the scale is getting fucked. Why is that happening? It's because, am I at like a gimbal lock or something? Maybe. Oh, am I kind of getting it? I think I am. So, do I actually want less of the Y vector? What happens if I line these up then? No, I made it considerably worse. So I do want the Y vector in there. Nope, I think I've lost it. Just chasing vectors, that's all I'm doing. So I'm trying to fucking understand what is the vector that it's rotating around. I'm going to divide each of these by 10 so I can understand this a bit better. And divide it by 2 so I can understand it a bit better. What? Fucking numlock is never on this keyboard for some reason. 2, 5. Okay, so there's the vector that I'm working with. The shit? That's not the same vector. Wait, oh shit, that should have been 3. What the absolute fuck? That is a different vector than before. Wasn't this 50, 20, 30? Nope. Oh, I've done something bad here. 100. Shit. Yeah, I've completely lost it. Ah, I was so close to having it. So for anyone watching, I'm playing around with 3D rotation in transform attribute. Because I've got it built into my library that I support for like 3D rotations on haptics. And that's working quite nicely there. But I've got this funky bit here in the design. There's like this little flap on the mailbox. And so that's got more of a complex rotation because that's back 45 degrees and up maybe like 20 degrees. And so I'm trying to find what vector to rotate across. And so I'm currently just fucking around in the console, and I nearly had it and then I completely lost it. So I'm gonna just try find it again. So we're talking about being back to the right and up, right? This would be so much goddamn easier in a like Unity environment where I can just inspect this shit. Okay, so along the x-axis, the vector, it's definitely going to the right. So we'll say 1, and it's definitely going back. So we'll say 1, and it should definitely be going up. Yeah, so all 3 should be 1. And if we say rotate, no, what am I saying? 45 deg. Oh god. What did I do wrong? Rotate 3D, sorry. Okay, and this vector is just laughably wrong. I can't even see how it's that wrong. Unless this is like, should be a negative. Which one of these should be a negative? All of them? I'm just throwing random numbers out now. Yeah, we really don't want much Y rotation in there, do we? 3D vector tool. Fuck it. Let's see. Ah, go away. So I just want to visualize what I think is happening, or at least what I think should be happening. Why I rotated it, didn't I? Yeah. So if I set this to 2. Okay, so I want it to be quite. Do I actually want any Y to it at all? I think I do, because I've got like a top-down view, so it is going up, right? Let's try this. 5, 2, 1. Five, 2, 1. Nearly. But it's rotating so funkily. Why the hell is it doing that? It'd probably help if I put a transform origin on this. Top. Okay, so there's just a bit too much like sway in there. What the fuck? I just cannot get it to rotate in that one way that I want. I go to a certain point and it just either just doubles back on itself. Yeah. I just can't try to fucking rotate in that one way. Oh my god. So is... Am I just trying to do the impossible here? Trying to get 3D rotation with two things being rotated? Is it even two things needing to be rotated? Square asset. Rotated. What? Get the mailbox flap to flap with 3D space. Do you not like it? Well, like, I kind of want to figure it out. Like, I've got this guy spinning in 3D. There's some way to get it working, and I want to figure it out.
What if you had the thing as like the actual angle and shape, and then you just have to like rotate it up and down?
But it has to be rotated on the plane that it is skewed. As in, like, if we have a weird distorted rectangle image, what plane do we rotate it on? If we rotate it on a 2D plane, then it's horribly wrong. We'd be rotating an image that's already skewed from rotation, which is why I made it a rectangle, and then we skew it via rotation, and then apply the rotation. But I'm just trying to figure out the way to do it. But it requires getting the right vector and angles and shit. Thank you. You doing a big clean? So yeah, I just don't understand this rotate 3D, because I feel like it's not aligning with what I understand of like the vector that I'm rotating it along. I just need to see, does it behave how I think it behaves? Rotate 3D CSS. This rotation vector, is it like the thing that it rotates around? So this is, go away. So this should be rotating around the vector 1, 1, 1, which would be one to the right, one up, one back. So it should be like a diagonal. Okay, so it is a diagonal, but it's one to the left and one back and one up. Why is that to the left? I'm confused. Unless it's one to the right, one down? I'm trying to plot where the fuck is the vector going through here. 1, 1, 1. So the points that are fixed are these front right, down, back left, top. So we're drawing a vector between those points. So it's one to the right, one down, and one forward. Seems to be how it works. So in this case, 2 to the right, 1 up, and 1 back. So it should be the opposite, kind of, but it's a negative turn. For fuck's sake, this is a really confusing example. Yeah, okay, so that's the way I expected it to rotate. Okay, I don't know why the fuck is this world space is so confusing. X-axis of rotation. If specified, the vector is not normalized. If as specified, the vector is not normalized, user agent will normalize it internally. Okay, let's see if I can apply that understanding and make this a bit more sensible. So it should be, let's just work with a diagonal. So it should be 1 minus 1. Yeah, 1 minus 1. And what direction is back? 1 minus 1 minus 1. That doesn't look right. What is that rotation? Because the contents of this are just a flat 2D image. So what the fuck vector can cause it to rotate like that? I'm so fucking confused. This makes literally no sense to me. So its rotation origin is there. $90. Oh, have I just stumbled onto it? So maybe my vector was more or less correct. I just need to get the scales correct. Yeah, that's no good. Ooh. That's pretty close. Oh, not quite. Oh, that's completely wrong now. So this needs to be way higher. Because for the most part, we are rotating on that axis. But just with a smidge of verticality in there. So yeah, that should be a minus. That should be a minus, definitely. Should this not be a minus then? Equal parts across and back with a little bit of up. Feels right, but that's it's completely wrong though. So why is it rotating like that? What is equal vectors to the right and back? Okay. So we're talking that way and then into the depth. So we don't want it to be anywhere near equal parts into the depth, but a little bit up. That should be minus, shouldn't it? Guess not. Oh, it's really close now. I think. Yeah, I just need to get this to basically line up with the lines. Is that it? Oh, not quite. Oh my god, this... really fucking hard to work out. I don't know why it fucking spins like that anytime I get those two close together. X needs to be way the strongest vector by far. I know that to be true. Do I? I'm not sure anymore. So what's happening? Where is the vector? CSS draw vector. Yeah, I guess I could give it a border. So I could, although like this is the vector, I guess. This is so fucking frustrating. Because yeah, I am drawing a vector by manipulating these because this is a straight line. So this is showing me my vector. Fuck, I'm hitting the same goddamn issue. Hey, how's it hacking? It's hacking all right. Hacking all right. Sorry if you're still... Yeah, don't know if you're still here. It's hacking all right. I'm just in a frustrating thing of trying to find the sweet spot of this rotation effect. I'm trying to figure out how to... If this is even physically possible. Basically, I want to get a nice 3D rotation effect on this asset so that like, if I want to have it so that when you hover over this mailbox flap, it like rotates out. Why am I not able to visualize this at all? So what's a good way of doing this? So when it, I'm so bad at manipulating things in 3D space, so that when it animates, you get a full view of the asset flipping. Yeah, CSS is pretty much the only thing I've actually used what they teach in university math classes. Yeah, like I used to love vector manipulation stuff, but generally when you're playing around with vectors, it's like done in a space where you can actually see what you're doing. If you're doing it in a 2D environment on pen and paper, the examples stick to a 2D environment. Or if you're playing around in like Unity, like a 3D visual editor, and you're doing vector stuff, you can debug it by like drawing the vector to see just to see if it lines up with what you want it to. But here I'm in like the worst of both worlds, where I'm visualizing it in a 2D space, but I'm trying to think about it in a 3D space. And so I'm just sort of like throwing numbers at the rotation in the hopes that it will rotate the way I want it to, but I've no real way of visualizing it other than testing like here by like manually rotating it and seeing the way it rotates and seeing, does that align with the rotation I want? And in this case, no, it very much doesn't. But yeah, so I think what's messing me up is that I want to cause it to rotate when you hover, but I also need there to be a base rotation to it to get it into that position. As in, I'm working off a rectangle image. So maybe, okay, I'm going to test this again. If I move this rotation down to the actual image tag. And then up here, I'm going to rotate it into the position I want. So where are we? I don't know. Because basically I need to, on hover, cause it to flap up and down. But I need that to already be happening in an already rotated space. Firefox has like a 3D view you can use, but can't remember how you enable it. What? Oh shit. Firefox, like in the developer tools. Tools, 3D. That's really cool. What this image looks really old though, so I'm worried. 3D view is no longer available. Is there a Firefox used to have a 3D view? Is this what you're talking about? This this thing? That's not it. Or are you lamenting that it's no longer there? .3D environment. Yeah, I haven't touched Firefox in years. Damn. Yeah, because that thing looked pretty cool. But yeah, it feels like something that like a developer hacked together on, you know, second half of a Friday to have like a dumb proof of concept. But maybe that would have been really helpful for me. Let's see if Chrome has it. 3D environment. Oh, I just completely misspelled that. Google Chrome. Display your products in 3D. No, I don't think this is what I need. Oh well. Yeah, this is a, yeah, I develop in Firefox, like mainly because I switched to Firefox personally for reasons that I can't even remember. But I think most developers develop in Chrome because most people use Chrome, I think. And it's like a really nice, stable browser to build in. But I know that there's a bunch of shit that breaks when you build it in Firefox. And so I forced myself to build in Firefox because it's kind of like hard mode. Because like if it works in Firefox, it's almost definitely going to work in Chrome. The same is not true the other way around. So yeah, I might just have to like settle for a really basic version of this rotation. So D-Laz, is that a recurring visitor, a recurring viewer? I don't think I remember the name. If it's your first time here, very happy to have you. If not, welcome back. And apologies for forgetting your name. Okay, so what I want to try is I don't know how the fuck. Okay, so at the top level, I want it to be a completely different rotation vector. Just trying to find some background stuff.
New follower, Delaz.
Thank you very much for the follow. Getting me one step closer to my follower goal. First follower of the day, thank God. Didn't want to end stream without a new one. Just trying to find some background noise while working. Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be noise in your ear. What is it you're working on? Is it web stuff or what? Okay, so at the top level, I'm going to try have just a completely different transform vector. Rotate 3D. 0, 1, 0. Let's try that for now. 45 degrees. And this should hopefully just get it into the position that we want it. Okay, now this guy, when he rotates, that should cause the flap effect. And it kind of does. You're working as a consultant for a company and currently building new features for an ancient React Native app. Awesome. Yeah, I actually started into React through React Native. And that was like 6 years ago or something. And I haven't touched it since because there's like, I learned React Native coming out of university for a little side project some people were working on. So like I had to learn JavaScript, HTML, and React Native all in the space of like a month. And then that project got canned. So then I had to just go and get a real job. And that real job required React knowledge. So I pivoted to regular React. And I have not touched React Native since. But I do remember loving it. The documentation for React Native was way nicer than regular React. Do you really dislike React and React Native? Oops. Well, thank you for persevering and watching a React stream. Though we're not doing much React right now. It's really just CSS. I had wanted this to be a really quick little thing so that we could start playing around with some funky React stuff. But as is always with me, getting sidetracked in the nuance, the like little things. Okay, so this kind of works. This kind of does do what I need. So if I have the main rotation applied by the parent, and then the child is the thing that does the actual flapping. Yeah. That's pretty nice. It's not giving me the 3D effect that I want because the way it seems that Rotate 3D works is it doesn't actually move it through a 3D space. It just sort of scales it. Like if you, in this case, because I'm only doing Rotate 3D using the X axis, it's not actually performing a 3D rotation along the X axis. It's just scaling to give the illusion that it's rotating, which in this case is screwing me up because it's not giving an actual 3D flip effect. But you're a lot more back-end oriented developer, but kind of like accessibility stuff too. Nice. I'm basically the exact opposite. I've, in my career, had to be like shoehorned into sort of a full stack role, but always wanted to do entirely front-end stuff. So once I quit my job and started doing this being like working on my own React library and making videos about it and stuff, when I started doing that full time, it was like I don't really ever want to touch a server again. Yeah, some of the stuff my work made me do to be like a full stack developer. Oh, Connor, you're the web guy, not the front end web guy. You're the web guy. So you have to set up and follow through with our entire web stack auditing process involving reaching out to the third-party company to perform the audit and evaluate our server security and stuff. It's like, that is not my job. Fuck off. Still had to do it though. And never want to do that kind of stuff again. I like just making silly little pictures on the screen. Hence this stream. Okay, so the effect is basically there. I'm going to persist this because this is all just happening in the browser. None of this is actually written down anywhere. So apply this rotation there. I don't know why 38 degrees works best. Can I put this up to like 45 to be something sensible? Yeah, that's working fine. So if I put that to 45 and the vector 1, 4, minus 2. Okay, and then I have the haptic. Oh, what did I do? Ooh. Semicolons not allowed in SAS. Okay, the vector's a little bit broken there. Why is that? Oh, is it because I'm scaling it now? Right. Yeah, so I need to tweak that. You were kind of thinking about pivoting to DevOps InfoSec. I was thinking about getting started by getting a Kubernetes certificate. That's one where I never know how to pronounce it when I say it. Kubernetes. I'm going to stick with Kubernetes. I also know nothing about it. So many people in chat talk about learning that, and I have no clue. Open source system for automating deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications. Interesting. Yeah, even the idea of like containerized stuff. Like I've used Docker in the past because like work has demanded it. Even that stuff, for whatever reason, it just does not interest me. So yeah, fair play to you if it does. Pursue it. Like I know some people that I've worked with have like loved this stuff. They've like single-handedly Dockerized the entire app and made everything so much easier for onboarding new people and everything because it's way more simple. You know, you click one button to get the app running as opposed to installing 13 different sub dependencies and stuff. So having this stuff in place is great. It's just never been something that I care about. Basically, it keeps Docker containers running, scale them up, handle load balancing environments, etc. Awesome. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that, like, you know, like I can do very basic like AWS stuff. So like my website is hosted on AWS, and I've got like CloudFront distributions in place and things like that. But in terms of actual like how any of it works, or like how I would go about doing it without all this off-the-shelf AWS stuff, I just quit. I would not want to try to figure that stuff out. Yeah, back to making my silly little drawings do a dance. Right, what is broken with this vector? Three. Does that work? Yeah, it seems to. Okay, so I make that 3, and we're all happy. Okay. And when I click it, oh, it flaps horribly. So if I slow down that flap, click rotation. So if I make that be less severe, like 100, and then click MS, and set that to like 250. Because those are all controllable attributes in my haptic component that I'm using here. Where am I? There we go. Oh, okay, so it's rotating too far, I think. Okay, so this is something I need to look into with the use haptic hook. So where I think I've made it so that it returns from the rotation instantly. Yeah, transition MS 0. So yeah, I've set it to 0 returning animation speed, because when it comes to rotations, where is the hooks? Yeah, when it comes to rotations, after a click, if it rotates 360 and then has to rotate back, it'll like it goes back to 0. It would then undo the rotation, and we didn't want that. So I set it to 0 rotation speed so that it would happen instantly. But I guess we need the ability to cause it to rotate back visually. So I guess what I'll do is if the user has actually provided a value for it. Then we'll use that value. Options.return ms or 0. Yeah, let's try that. Gonna have to rebuild the library now. And then return ms 200 milliseconds. I'm not even sure if this is built. I think I need to refresh the page. I don't know if it's using the new build. It's not doing what I want, so I'm just going to restart the app and just hope that's causing all the problems as usual. Okay, it did just need a restart. Okay, that's kind of a fun little bounce, actually. I need to figure out the rotation, the vector isn't very nice. It's like scaling that way instead of doing a nice rotation. There might be some way to fake it, but I think the little bounce to it is fun. Yeah, because that was actually a problem I had over here, where in this case it was bad. Because with the rotation, when I click, it spins, goes back to 0. And, oh. What the fuck? Was not doing that before. Is that because of this change I just made? Shouldn't be. I don't know. I wanted to fix that up down the line anyway. That might just be because everything's zoomed in. Oh. I don't know. Yeah, that seems proper broken. But... Okay, so I think you use haptic hook with rotation seems just a bit janky when it comes to returning. I might need to fix that up. Use haptic spin janky at returning. I'm just going to put that on my to-do list. My to-do list is real proper with really informative to-do things like that. Yeah, I'm just going to leave that as is. It's not exactly how I wanted it. But yeah, that's what we got. So now I need to figure out how to make this actually scale nicely, because that's the main thing we should be working on right now. Because we want it to be positioned nicely, always fit in there next to, nice and snug, next to the signpost. So how do we achieve that? So the signpost and the mailbox both have left and top. Right, I'm not setting a height or a width on it, so that would help. Height, what would be a good height for this? If I just make it like half of whatever the mailbox or the signpost is, 40, 35. Did that just not work? Okay, so it's working. Just the image is not respecting it. Just gonna copy these things over. Yeah, screw it. I'll just copy this entire goddamn class over. You can Go there. Why is that not working? Ooh. Oh, shit. Yeah, I really should have thought about this before I started doing all the rotation stuff. So I'm scaling down the mailbox, and that's where the flap is positioned relative to. But I need to make this respect that. So I move this in. Okay, it's progress. It's progress. It's kind of where we want it. Oh god, no. Oh, I've got height auto, but I need max height and stuff on it, don't I? Yeah, I do. Max height. Would you say max height 100%, max width 100%, height and width auto? What that do? So almost there. So the positioning's a bit off. And the scaling is kicking in too late. Because we basically want it to be around the same place as the signpost every time. So move this in. Move this down. How did it look in this guy? Okay, it's pretty close. Okay, it's working quite nicely. So if I make it shorter, because I think that's the problem I'm hitting. So I want to give it a bit of height, a bit of distance. Yeah, have a bit of a gap from the signpost in both axes. But it also needs to be in line. So yeah, it definitely needs to be shorter there. And if I just kick in the width scaling lower. Yeah, almost. It's looking pretty good. Yeah. So on the vertical scaling, it's definitely working nicely. I know the flap is all over the place. Need to figure out that. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Cool. So now I need to persist this into CSS. But I also just want to check, is this actually stacking behind the signpost? Yes, it is. Okay. So left and top 54. Left and top 54. Height 32 with 20. Damn. Then what did I do with this guy? Don't think I touched him, did I? Ooh, I definitely did touch him. Didn't persist some stuff. Oh wait, didn't I just say that should have been heightened with 20%? Why didn't that work? I did not save. Okay, sweet. Okay, cool. Just need to get this flap positioned correctly. So I don't think you can have something be a child of an image tag, can you? But if I don't know. I don't know. Is it simply that this guy is too big? So if I scale him down, because I think if I scale him, no. The problem is he's getting too big and he's making the parent bigger. So if I had this be considerably lower, scale everything down a smidge. Let's make it half of what it is. 0.5 and 1.7. What's a half of 135? 0.675. Okay, it needs to be just ever so bigger. Okay. So it's still not working. So the parent... Why the hell is the parent going that big? Right, okay. So yeah, I think I just need to put a wrapper around... Could you add figure around it to make a caption? What is the figure tag? There's so many HTML tags that I just don't know exist. Figure tag, element to mark up a photo in a document, to define a caption for the photo. That is so specific. Could do. So I think what I'm going to try to do is put just a wrapper div around this image that hopefully fits the content, and then make that, have the flap be positioned relative to that, so that the flap moves with the main mailbox flap, or with the main mailbox image. That's my hope. So if I put just a div here, class name styles dot mailbox wrapper, mailbox image wrapper, because yeah, this class is sort of positioning it and giving us the overall page size, and this one will just act as an encapsulation of the actual visible image. I hope that makes sense. And then if I move this into there, mailbox image wrapper, box image wrapper, position absolute, height and width fit content. Let's see if that works. Width fit content. Okay. Kind of. So I think the flap is staying with with the mailbox now. It's not scaling with it. That's the problem. Shit. Yeah, okay, so this is kind of the same issue I had with this signpost, that I needed this logo sign piece to scale down whenever this main signpost scaled down. So like getting those two to stay in sync. And I think the way I achieve that is by having the overall wrapper scale and have them be height and width proportional to that wrapper. So like with the signposts, yeah, the images be like max height, max width. So it was like max height 20%. And that's how this guy is always 20% of the container. So if I make this guy have a width that's a fixed percentage, maybe that will help it scale. Width 50%, and dial that back. Okay, so now it's scaling with the mailbox, I think. It's not, the whole thing is kind of broken because it's not scaling vertically anymore, but the flap is at least now scaling with that wrapper. Awesome. Okay, so the flap wrap is now going to be width 40%. Flap wrap width 40%. So why is this thing no longer scaling the way it should be? Should max height and max width be 100%? Max width 100%. That's annoying. So the wrapper is the correct size, I think. God damn it. So the image is going bigger than its parent, despite having max height 100%. I hate those exceptions to like 100% rules in CSS. It's like, I'd say most questions about CSS on Stack Overflow are like, why isn't my thing being 100% of the parent when I told it to be max height 100%? And there's always some exceptions like, oh, you can't use percentage sizing if the parent doesn't have fixed sizing. And some of it makes sense and some of it's just really annoying. But in this case, the parent is that size. So why does it not work? If I just give this display contents. So with display contents, it basically makes this div's styling do nothing, I think. Except, can I still position this relative? No. So what if instead of having this be height and width, I had this be max height and max width? So why is this going too big again? It should be 100% of that. I mean, mean? Like, what the fuck? So it'll respect it if I've got a fixed value for height. Oh, I just don't know sometimes. I kind of want to run away from this task. I want it to work right though. So if instead of percentages, I did like VH and VW. Nope, it's still not respecting that. That's fucked. Also, Firefox, why can I not undo changes that I make to the style panel? Pretty sure you can do that in Chrome. Yeah, so adding this wrapper div, I don't think it's helped anything. What the fuck? So getting rid of display contents just completely broke everything. So I'm going to refresh the page. At least get us to a point that it's rendering. So if I put the bounds on the image wrapper, will that help? Height 100%, width 100%. Can I do max width fit content? No. Because that would be really handy. That'd just be too goddamn handy. Height and width auto. No. Didn't think that would work anyway. I think I'm going to switch over to video games real soon because this is bumming me out. But yeah, I need to get this goddamn working. So what was I trying to do with this wrapper thing? I needed a wrapper around the image so that I can position the flap relative to the image. Yep, and that works correctly. However, now the wrapper is going bigger than the bound specified by the parent. So if I put a max height, 100%. Okay, so now he's respecting that, but the child image isn't. Because it's got max height as fucking 100%. Why is that doing literally nothing? It's doing absolute fuck all. Okay, time to do the age-old question. Max height 100% not working. It is a percentage of the parent's actual height, not the parent's max height. Same applies to max width. So when you don't specify an explicit height on the parent, then there's no base height for the child's max height to be calculated from. So it computes to none. When you do specify an explicit height for the parent, the child knows it has to be at most 100% of that explicit height. So if I inherit, that's what some guys suggesting. Inheriting. Nope. And why doesn't Firefox let me undo? I'm switching to fucking Chrome. I hate Firefox debugger so much. No, not that one. LocalHost 9999. Yeah. That is a different background. Oh, because it's in light mode. Huh. That's fun. Interestingly, the flap isn't working. Weird. But yeah. Let's try to figure this shit out. So I'm really zoomed in. And that's only affecting the mailbox for some reason. You've been using Vivaldi for a few years now, and there's no going back to Chrome anymore. Vivaldi browser. Is that like Chromium as well? Cross-platform web browser with built-in email client. Yeah, interesting. I've just never heard of this. Does it just like look and feel real nice? Or what? Oh, it's got the sidebar thing. I tried Opera GX for a while. It's from the original creators of Opera, Chromium based. Awesome. Yeah, I tried Opera GX for a while, and I kind of liked the vibe of it. But then there was just some really annoying stuff with it. Like, you couldn't use Opera GX on mobile because you couldn't get your passwords to sync. Like, Opera GX on mobile just doesn't have a password manager, so I had to use Opera on mobile. And then it just also had like a load of bugs. So I just abandoned it and went to Firefox instead. But this could be interesting. Does it have like a mobile browser and password manager? That's what I care about. Aldi mobile. Sweet. Yeah, I'll have to try that out. Thanks for the suggestion. Yeah, mobile version 2, which specs pretty well with desktops. Or syncs pretty well. Sweet. Yeah, I'm going to take a note of that. Look into that after. Yeah, for me, web development is just like, it's Chrome. It has to be Chrome because in my mind, like at my first job, we worked on an app that it was like so bespoke and it was like only for internal users and like the 10 external users that were paying a license to use it. And so we were able to be so explicit with the tech demands that we could say like, this website only works on Chrome. It only works on, we could even say like the newest version of Chrome. And we even had a detection in there that if the user agent or whatever wasn't Chrome, it would put up a big error message saying, this site will not work correctly for you. So it was like, it was so, we also had no mobile support. It was Chrome on a desktop, preferably a MacBook. And so like everyone in the company had a MacBook and used Chrome, and we told all our clients to do the same. It's like a horrible way to do business. I don't know how they got away with that. But it really made me dependent on Chrome for development and not understand a lot of stuff about like accessibility and mobile support. So yeah, I had an eye-opening transition to the following job where I needed to support all sorts of shit. Okay. So I will get to the bottom of this. I will figure out why this is bursting its bounds. Max height 100%, max width 100%. So if I specify that, it is not getting bigger than the parent. Okay, so it's behaving, it's obeying the rules. Go away. And the flap wrap is where it should be relative to the parent. But this guy is going just too big. I wonder. So when in doubt, slap flex onto something, see if it just fixes it. Oh my god, did it just fix it? It might have just goddamn fixed it. Okay, no, that flap is completely wrong now. There's this funny feature in Vivaldi that lets you select which browser it pretends to be by setting CHUA header, and MS Teams works a lot better if the browser tells them it's Edge. That is genius and also real shady. But damn, I guess like most Chromium browsers are basically the same under the hood, so makes sense. Yeah, that's cool. I wonder, can it trick websites into thinking it's a Steam Deck? Because I was thinking about that yesterday, that the Steam homepage on a Steam Deck responds differently than any other browser. And I was thinking about it because the homepage on Steam Deck is horrible. It's constantly buggy, really overflows constantly. So I'm wondering, like, how do you even develop that? Do you like have a browser that tricks the website into thinking it's a different device? So that'd be interesting. So this is kind of working until it gets too wide and then it goes completely wrong. So by having flex on here, there is this custom brand field in user agent settings. That's interesting. Yeah, I might play around with that. Right. So the positioning wise, this is going fine. The problem is that having max width 100%, whatever, is making my fit content thing no longer work. It's also seemingly breaking stuff inside where width auto used to be making it fit the size of the box, and it's no longer doing that. I just want this to be over so I can play. Basically, I want to play South Park. What you think? What you call it? Definitely not Snow Day. I want to play Fractured Butthole. Never really played that before, and I feel like that'd be fun to play on stream first time. So I'm hoping to get this out of the way so that I have like an hour or so to play that. But at this rate, I might just maybe eventually get a solution to this and then just give up for the day. So I've broken too much shit here. I'm just going to refresh the page. So if I switch these values over to max height and max width. Oh, then it's no good because the stuff is absolutely positioned. Doesn't need to be though, does it? Yeah. Okay, maybe being absolutely positioned is what's fucking me. You know what? Probably is. So flap wrap is inside of this. Isn't it? Yeah. These are all nested. And these don't need to be absolutely... Okay, that one does. This guy does not need to be absolutely positioned. He can be relatively positioned. Okay. So maybe that'll help the sizes obey. Max height 100%. Still not doing what I want. Many times in my life, I've just tabbed through all the possible options for display in the hopes that something fun will happen. Yeah, image sizing is something that I never think I understand. And then it kind of seems like it's working and I start to wonder, oh, is this a lot easier than I think? And then stuff like this happens and I'm just never certain. Because there's funky stuff to it where you can't just like specify a height and a width because then it'll distort. So it helps to like specify a max height and max width. And that way, whichever axis is shrunk, that'll specify the bounds, but the rest of it will scale automatically. And that's what is happening for most of these. But in this one, I'm just really fucking struggling. I think having the wrapper div is making this harder. If I just get rid of him, how broken does everything become? Because actually, yeah, it was working before I did that, wasn't it? Yeah, so when I do that, everything but the flap is positioned correctly. So there's just got to be some other way of getting the flap to sit where I need it to be. What if this guy... relative. Yeah, let's try that. I thought I got rid of that. Yeah, I already made him be relative. Flap wrap. Let's see. Because if I can make this container do the stuff I need, rather than have an additional wrapper div. Oh, okay, so having it be relative does mess stuff up because it's getting a position in the container, so the main image is offset. So we don't want that. So if I'll leave him as being absolute, that's fine. Parent. If I can make him have a max width and max height. Max height. Max width. I gotta keep remembering to turn off notifications. Because I get like my family WhatsApp messages popping up on stream. That's no good. Max height and max width simply are not working. But at least Control Z is working. Firefox. Figure your shit out. Child of image tag. Yeah, an image tag cannot have elements. Instead, you need to position the div on top of an image using CSS. All right, so I'm going to go back Now that that's working again, I'm going to go back to using the wrapper around the image. And I'm just going to dial back so much of what it does. It does nothing right now. And what was... the hell? I just Googled something. What did I do with it? History... There. Oh yes, I closed it. Position relative. So that's all it has to be. And yet that breaks everything. Because these things are getting max height. Can I just inherit height and width? What about that? Height, inherit. Inherit. Width. Max height, inherit. Max width, inherit. Oh, fuck. Because it's proportional. Max height, 100. 100%. 100%. Why is that kind of doing what I wanted to, but not really? Oh, did I leave this as relative? I did, didn't I? Absolute. Okay. Just inviting the dog up on the bed so she'll stop crying. Okay, so having the wrapper div is working. Kind of. Not really, though. Width, fit content. Oh. Almost. Okay. It's just going wrong here. Why is that? So the top. Oh, I don't know. What the fuck? It's so the top is 28%, but that needs to be able to scale down. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so on mobile, say. Yeah, that text is just way too small on mobile. Rosie's gonna have to do something about that. But that flap. I got it to scale based on the width. But that's not scaling its position. It's getting a fixed. No, because the left, it's a left offset is scaling down, isn't it? Right. It's 28% of the parent. So the parent isn't getting any shorter. Is that what's happening? Yeah, that's what's happening. Okay. So this image wrapper. Height, fit content. Will that fix it? No. That breaks this. Max height, fit content. That's really fucking frustrating. Because it's like catch 22. I need the parent to specify how big it can be, and I need the image underneath to specify how big it is, and the stuff in the middle to be driven by both. But those two values are like driven by each other. And it's just a lock. mean, like I could set like a max height that's a VW value. Like that's real fucky, but let's see. Max height. $30 VW. 29 VW. I mean, it works. I don't like it. But if I put that on the mailbox... did I break something? What did I break? Why are you over there? So the width has to be fit content, right? Yeah, there we go. Fit content. More WhatsApp messages coming in while I'm fully broadcasting my screen. I'm good at this. Okay, it's working. Yeah, when it goes real narrow, I think that's just because I've made the post too small. So if I scale that, if I allow that to go a bit bigger. Signposts, width 75. Does that break everything else? Screw it. 80. Is there anything stopping me going just like 90? It'd be nice if I could be positioning it based on the posts, like where it is in the ground, so that it can be somewhat consistent with the mailbox. I'm going to dial it back to, what, I don't know, 85? 80. Yeah, it goes a bit weird at like this range where they deviate massively. You know what? 70, 75. Is that okay? Is 70 where I had it though? Signposts. It was with 70. So why am I worrying so much? Phones are never going to go that narrow. Yeah, this is perfectly fine. Okay, I'm good with that. Ah, yay. Now, why isn't the flap working? Do I not have the haptic in there? I do. Is the signpost... Wait, what? There's the haptic. Is it because did I put like pointer events none and didn't amend that at any point? Mailbox, image, pointer events none. Yeah, I don't want that, right? Cool. It's working. I think that flap is a little bit silly. Yeah, I wanna figure out why that little spin rotation thing is fucked. I think it's because I did this. Because it seemed to only happen once I started doing that. But I'm not sure why that would be the case. Try to get to the bottom of that. And rebuild you. Okay, so it was just that change causing that to break. Which is really weird. Because if I'm not specifying a return MS, then that shouldn't be doing anything. Oh, would you look at me? I have specified it. Right, no. No, I haven't. It's over here. That's the one. I have not specified a return milliseconds, so it shouldn't be calling. Return milliseconds 50. Oh, shit. Okay, I understand now. So, problem is, with this component, or with the haptic component, yeah, I have set the default props on the component to be the haptic default props. And I did that for the sake of the story. But I don't think I need that anymore, do I? No, yeah, I did. I assigned default props to the component because that allows Storybook to detect what the default values are when it generates the props table. Problem there being that in here, I was checking to see, have we been given a value for this? And we didn't give a value, but the default props is meaning that we are getting a value. Okay, so I can add yet another thing. Yeah, well, I add another attribute. Where would be good? Over here. Click rotation. Animate should return. What word did I use before? Return milliseconds. Animate returning. Boolean. And the default value is going to be true. Okay, so down here, we're going to say return milliseconds is merged options dot return milliseconds. But only if, and we're going to do this in both places here. So we're going to do this if merged options dot animate return, otherwise 0. And then in haptic, I'm going to copy that over. So I'm going to pass that value through. Animate return. Loon is asleep on the bed next to me, doing little sleep yips. Okay, so that's going to be my way of automatically circumventing the return animation. So it's sort of a negation of what I was doing before, because before it was automatically not animating the return. and now I'm making it so that you have to opt out of there being a return animation. So yeah, in my thing here, so when we spin the signpost, I'm going to want there to say, don't animate the return. Animate return false. So in theory, this should still be working nicely, which it does. It's not undoing because basically the reason for it specifying whether or not it needs to animate the return is I'm transitioning the rotation from 0 to 360. And if I get rid of that value and put it back to the default, which is 0, it'll spin to 360 and then unspin back to 0. And I don't want that here. I want it to spin and stay there. And the only way that I can think to make that happen is to do the animation, then upon undoing the spin, set the time for the animation to 0 seconds so that it happens instantly and you don't notice that it switched. But on the mailbox flap, we want it to show the return animation. I don't know if that's working there. It's real small. What am I doing? I've completely forgotten how to inspect with, okay, there we go. Mobile stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to zoom in because all this stuff is like proportional to the screen size. So zooming in isn't actually changing anything because they're staying the same fixed proportion. Auto adjust zoom. I'm trying to find a way of literally zooming in on this stuff. Oh, I give up. So here's the component. And it has got, what, animate return? Is that what the thing was called? Animate return. Should I just increase the return milliseconds? Will that make it better? I feel like it's not animating the return. Do I need to restart you? Yes, okay, I did just need to restart it. Awesome. Yeah, I can at least do that to show it off. So when I hover over this, it does a spin and doesn't spin back. But then with this guy, he flaps up and then flaps down. Sweet. So, having achieved that, might need to leave it for the day. Because my girlfriend wants me to cook her lunch. Here I am building her a website for her. And she is unable to cook herself eggs. Alright. Well, short enough stream. Well, relative. 3 hours isn't that short. Thank you if Dilaz, if you're still here. Thank you for giving me my follow of the day. It's always sad to finish a stream and not even get that. Hasn't quite lived up to the last stream where I got 10 followers, but I was rated. Coming soon. Yeah, you're still there. Good man. Yeah, thanks again for the follow. Hope to see you again. You were nice and talkative. Always appreciate that in chat. I think last week I made the vow to start doing this again more regularly. And I think I hit 2 streams last week. So maybe we'll actually hit the goal of streaming 3 times. Because, yeah, I'm doing this. The big goal is to try to hit affiliate. As the thing he says up there, the temporary goal of getting to 35 is very short term, because really I want to get to 50 when I can become an affiliate. But even before doing that, I still need to stream another 3 times this month. So no mad rush to get to 50. Still need to do a few more, put in the hours. So that's the big goal. Maybe get a couple more streams in this week, and maybe if I'm lucky, next week I can hit affiliate and start pumping you guys full of ads and actually get some money at the end of the day. But anyway, really appreciate you for watching, and hope to see you again. Have a great rest of your day. Bye now. There we go.